Bismillahirrahmanirrahim and Assalamu alaikum. My name is Ayam Rafiq and I am a foundation level student at Rehan School Islamabad Barakut. Today I am going to conduct an AI session with Maya. In this session, I will ask few questions and Maya will provide answers. So let's start. Hey Maya,
By what exactly?
Maya, my first question is what is software?
Software is essentially the brain of the computer. It's a set of instructions written in code that tells the hardware exactly what to do. Without it, your laptop or phone would just be a very expensive paperweight. Do you want to go deeper into the different types, like system versus application software?
My next question is what is the difference between software and hardware?
Think of hardware as the body and software as the mind. The hardware is anything you can actually touch, like your screen, the keyboard, or the chips inside your phone. Software is the invisible part, the code and programs that make that hardware useful. Can't touch software, but it's what directs the hardware to do something. If your computer were a book, the paper and ink would be the hardware, and the story would be the software.
Okay, my next question is what are the main type of software?
Broadly speaking, it's split into two big camps. The first is system software, which is the foundation. It handles the behind the scenes stuff, like your operating system, so that the computer can actually run. Then you've got application software, which is everything you interact with directly, like your web browser, Spotify, or word processor. Want to dig into how they actually talk to each other?
Okay, my next question is what is system software?
System software is basically the invisible management team for your computer. Its main job is to make sure the hardware and the apps on your screen can actually talk to each other without everything crashing. The heavy hitter here is the operating system, like Windows, Mac OS, or Linux, but it also includes stuff like device drivers that tell your computer how to use your printer. If application software is the tool you use to get work done, system software is the air the tool breathes. You want to talk about application software next?
Okay, my next question
hmm
is what is application software?
Think of application software as the apps that actually do the specific tasks you need, whether it's Chrome for browsing, Instagram for scrolling, or Excel for spreadsheets. These are the programs you intentionally open to get something done. While system software is the foundation that keeps the lights on, application software is what makes the device personal and useful to you. It's basically the end goal of the whole computing setup.
Okay, my next question is what is programming?
Programming is essentially the art of talking to a computer. Computers are incredibly fast, but they aren't actually smart. They only do exactly what they're told, which is why you need a language they understand.
Okay, my next question is what is application software?
Wait, that's actually a repeat. We just covered it a few minutes ago. Was there a specific part of that answer that didn't stick, or are you just making sure the tape is running correctly?
Uh, okay, my next question is
I've got you.
what is coding?
Coding is the actual act of writing that code. If programming is the big picture of designing how everything works, coding is the hands on part where you're typing out the actual lines of text in a specific language to bring it to life. Is basically translating your ideas into a language the computer can't misunderstand. What's next?
Okay, my next question is what, how is software development?
Hmm. Software development is essentially the entire life cycle of bringing a piece of software to life. It's a structured process that Starts with the big idea and ends with a finished product. Usually it kicks off with the planning phase where you define what the software actually needs to do. Then you move into design, where you map out the architecture and how users will interact with it. Once that's set, you hit the implementation phase, which is the actual coding part. But it doesn't end there. The testing phase is critical to squash any bugs and make sure everything is stable before it goes live. Finally, there's the deployment and maintenance phase where you release it to the world and keep it updated. What's the next one on your list?
Okay, my next question is, which programming language is best for beginners?
Python is the gold standard for beginners. It's popular because the syntax is clean and reads almost like English, which lets you focus on learning how to think like a programmer rather than fighting with complex punctuation. It's also incredibly versatile, so whether you're interested in data science, AI, or just automating boring tasks, it's a great starting point. What else are you curious about?
Okay, my next question is, what is ChatGPT?
I think you mean ChatGPT. It's a large language model developed by OpenAI. Basically, it's been trained on a massive amount of human text so it can hold conversations, write essays, or help you debug code. What else is on the list?
Okay, my next question is, what is the difference between a software engineer and a programmer?
It's a bit like the difference between a carpenter and an architect. A programmer is someone who can take a specific set of instructions and translate them into a language the computer understands. They're the ones actually writing the code to solve a particular problem. A software engineer, though, looks at the bigger picture. They're designing the entire system, making sure it's scalable, secure, and efficient over the long term. Basically, one focuses on writing the code while the other focuses on engineering the whole product. What's next on your list?
Okay, my next question is, what is Gemini?
Gemini is Google's version of a large language model, similar to ChatGPT. While ChatGPT was the one that first blew everyone's mind, Gemini is Google's answer to that. It's built to be natively multimodal, meaning it's designed from the ground up to handle text, images, audio, and video all at once, rather than just stitching different models together. It's basically a massive neural network that predicts the next part of a sequence, allowing it to write code, reason through complex problems, and hold a conversation with you. Since it's a Google product, it's deeply integrated with their whole ecosystem, like Docs and Gmail. What else are we checking off the list tonight?
Okay, my next question is, what is HTML?
HTML is like the skeleton of a web page. It stands for Hypertext Markup Language, but don't let the name fool you. It's not a programming language because it doesn't handle logic like if-then statements. Instead, it's a markup language, which means it just tells the browser what the content is. It's the way you tell the browser, this part is a big heading, this part is a paragraph, or right here, put a link to another page. Without HTML, the internet would just be a giant wall of plain text with no structure at all.
Okay, my next question is,
Keeping the rule,
what
go for it.
is CSS?
If HTML is the skeleton, CSS is the style. It's where you handle the colors, fonts, and layout so the page doesn't look like a 1995 government website. What's next on the list?
Okay, my next question is, what is JavaScript?
So we've got the skeleton and the style. Now JavaScript is where the actual action happens. It's the muscle of the web page, the part that makes everything interactive. While HTML and CSS just sit there looking a certain way, JavaScript is what allows a page to actually do things. like popping up a notification when you click a button, updating a live sports score without refreshing the page, or making those smooth animations you see on modern sites. It's what transforms a static document into a living, breathing application. What else are we checking off?
Okay, my next question is, what is the difference between website and software?
A website is really just a specific type of software. It's software that you access through a browser on the web. The broader term software covers everything from a simple calculator app on your phone to a massive operating system like Windows. Essentially, all websites are software, but not all software is a website.
Okay, my next question is, what is the difference between Windows and Linux?
They're two completely different philosophies. Windows is like a luxury apartment that comes fully furnished. You don't really need to do anything to get it working, but you have to follow the landlord's rules, and you can't just tear down a wall without permission. It's designed to be intuitive and compatible with almost every piece of software on the planet. Linux, on the other hand, is like building your own home from the ground up. It's open source, so you can see exactly how every single part is made and change anything you want. It's powerful, flexible, and loved by developers, but it usually takes a bit more elbow grease to get it feeling just right. It's basically a trade off between pure convenience and total control. What else is on the list?
Okay, my next question is, what is Git?
Think of Git as a high powered undo button for your code. It's a version control system that lets you save snapshots of your project as you work. That way, if you spend 3 hours coding a new feature only to realize it completely broke everything, you can just warp back to exactly where the project was before the disaster happened. Plus, it makes collaborating a breeze because multiple people can work on different parts of the same project without accidentally overwriting each other's work. You just merge all the changes together when they're ready. What's next on the list?
My next question is, what is GitHub used for?
If Git is the undo button, GitHub is the giant cloud where those snapshots live. It's basically a social network for developers. It hosts your Git projects online so you can share your code with the world, collaborate with people from other countries, and even contribute to huge open source projects. You can show off your work, track who changed what, and keep everything synced across different computers.
Okay, my next question is, what is the difference between a laptop and a computer?
A laptop is just a computer that doesn't want to be tied down. The computer is the big umbrella term for any electronic device that processes data. A laptop is just a specific portable version of that. It's essentially a desktop computer where the screen, keyboard, and battery are all crammed into one folding package, so you can work from a cafe or your couch. Got a pretty exhaustive list here tonight. What's next?
Okay, my next question is, what is an operating system?
You're really taking me through the whole syllabus tonight. The operating system is basically the lead manager of your device. It's the most important piece of system software because it coordinates everything from managing your phone's memory to making sure your mouse actually moves the cursor on the screen. Without it, the hardware wouldn't know how to run a single app. I've already touched on this when we talked about system software, but is there a specific part of how an OS works that you're curious about?
Okay, my next question is, what is cloud source software?
I think you might mean open source software or maybe cloud computing. Um, One's about code being free to the public, and the other is about running stuff on remote servers. Which one were you thinking of?
Okay, what is cloud computing?
Cloud computing is basically renting someone else's computer over the internet. Instead of everything running on your own hard drive or in your own house, you use massive data centers owned by companies like Google, Amazon, or Microsoft to store your files and run your apps. It's how things like Google Drive, Netflix, and iCloud actually work. You don't have to worry about the hardware, the electricity, or the cooling. You just log in and your stuff is there regardless of which device you're using. What else is left on the list?
Okay, my next question is, what do software something crash?
Oh, you mean what software developers do when things crash? That's called debugging. Essentially, it's like being a detective in a movie, but instead of searching for a culprit, you're hunting for a typo or a logic error in thousands of lines of code. They'll look at the crash logs to see exactly where the program gave up. Then they'll use a tool called a debugger to pause the code mid sentence and see what on earth is going wrong. What's next on the list?
Okay, my next question is, how can a beginner start learning software development?
Honestly, the best way to start is just to break things. Pick a language like Python, since we already touched on how beginner friendly it is, and just start playing around with tiny projects. The second you try to make something and it crashes, that's where the real learning happens. You want some specific project ideas to get the ball rolling?
Okay, my next question is, what is UI?
UI is just shorthand for user interface. It's basically the face of the product. Every button, every slider, every little icon you see on your screen is part of the UI. If the UX is how the app actually feels when you use it, the UI is just what it looks like. Think of it like a car's dashboard. The steering wheel, the speedometer, and the radio knobs are all the UI. You just click a button and suddenly you're at the finish line of this list. What's next?
Okay, my next question is, what is UX?
UX is the user experience. If the UI is how the car's dashboard looks, the UX is how it feels to actually drive the car. It's the whole vibe of using the product, from how intuitive the menus are to whether you get frustrated trying to find the settings page. UX designers spend their time obsessing over the user's journey to make sure the app doesn't just look pretty, but actually makes sense to use.
My next question is, what is the software development life cycle?
That's the big picture one, the SDLC. It's basically the professional playbook for how a piece of software goes from a random idea to a finished product. Instead of just winging it, developers follow these 6 steps to make sure they don't miss anything critical. First, there's planning, where you nail down the what and why of the project. Then you have analysis, which is all about gathering the actual requirements. After that is design, where you map out the architecture and the UI. Next is implementation, which is the actual coding part where the heavy lifting happens. Then comes testing, which is a huge deal because you have to hunt down every bug before the users find them. And finally, there's deployment and maintenance, where you launch it to the world and keep it running smoothly. It's a it's a loop, not a straight line, because as soon as you launch, you start planning the next update. Is there any part of that process you want to dive into, or did that cover the whole list?
So viewers, this is the session for Maya. Today we will meet you in another Maya session. तब तक के लिए अल्लाह हाफिज, पाकिस्तान जिंदाबाद.
Allah Hafiz. Catch you in the